Hello.
Hi.
Today we are going to talk to you about birth partners and why they're so important. And a lot of this we bring from our own births because that's really the experience that we have to call upon. We've had 3 births between us and our birth partners were amazing on the day. And that is because they did the birth preparation with us and they understood what was going on and they were happy in the environment and they weren't scared. Because often I think we forget about the birth partner a little bit. And actually it's a very new and scary experience for them as well. They sometimes have never seen you in labour, or they might have seen you in labour once before, and it can be a scary environment. The person that they love is going through something that's huge and life-changing,
And they can feel helpless because of that, because they're meant to be the kind of protector or the one that you're leaning on. You know, there's a lot of pressure there to perform, I guess.
And you don't want them to be left in the background as bystanders, because actually they can be a huge asset and you want them to know what they can do to help you and to have some ideas. And what we teach in our course is for them to actually have a list of their own of things that they can run through, which we can't go through in essence today because it's too long, but things that they can do to help you. So we'll go through now why we think our birth partners are important. And my first one is that my husband was a huge cheerleader. So in real life, he's actually quite quiet and he's a man of few words. But when I was giving birth, he really focused my attention on what I needed to do. He told me to keep my jaw loose. He reminded me of my birthing and breathing techniques. He told me that I was doing really well and that it was amazing and to keep going and that we were going to meet our baby soon. So that was one thing that was really lovely.
Simon, my birth partner and husband, was really good at creating a really nice environment for me. So I'd laboured at home for as long as possible overnight, and he, at 6 a.m, when I couldn't bear to sit down anymore on the bed, we decided to move downstairs, and he'd essentially made a nest for me in the front room. With kind of dim lights. He'd put some music on, there were blankets and cushions on the floor, he'd drawn the curtains, and that's actually the first thing he did when we went into labour ward. When I was ready to go, he'd asked them to turn off the lights, and he put up our fairy lights, started putting photos around the place, got the little baby cardigan that we took out as motivation. He reminded me to go to the toilet. So all of these wonderful things that just really made me feel safe and secure, definitely.
Another positive thing that Sam did was just know where everything was. So we packed our birth bag, well, my birth bag together. We had 3 bags, one for him, one for baby, one for me. And he knew where things were and the difference between things. So I don't think before that he would have known the difference between my crop top and my black bikini top. But on the day he knew what he was getting out. He knew where the lip balm was. He knew where the snacks were, and it just makes such a difference that you don't have to think about that yourself as a birther, because you're really getting in your zone. It's not like you need loads of stuff, but just them knowing where everything is on the day is really, really helpful. So I would recommend packing your birth bag together.
Simon was really good at timing my contractions and keeping an eye on the actual different stages of labour that I was going through. So I didn't have to think about when we were going to call labour ward, when we were going to go in, when we were going to travel. He actually said to me, I have been timing your surges and I think we're ready to call labour ward. So I was just like, great, because I was busy doing my thing. The last thing I wanted to do was keep an eye on a timing app or anything like that. And it meant that I was just able to focus on breathing and, you know, experiencing the last moments of when my baby was in my body with me. So yeah, that was really lovely.
Sam also gave me reminders throughout the birth of things that he thought might help. So have an empty bladder. You kind of lose time when you're in birth and you're hopefully in your lovely little zone. And going for a wee can actually be really beneficial, because if your bladder is empty, it helps the baby move down. So he would remind me every hour or so just to try and have a wee or go to the toilet. And if you can't leave the birth pool, you can do that in a paper pan. But just reminding me to do things like that, reminding me that maybe it was a nice idea to change position every few hours, go to the toilet, eat something, drink something. Those little reminders that just I completely wasn't in the zone for, he did. And that really helped, because I just knew that I didn't have anything else to focus on other than really doing my breathing and concentrating on my body.
Simon was very good at, when we got into labour ward, he advocated for me. It got to the bearing down phase of my labour, and they asked whether they could put a cannula in the back of my hand, and he knew that as part of my preferences, if it wasn't essential, I didn't want it, because I'm a bit squeamish about, needles and stuff like that. So he actually said, if we don't need it, if it's not essential, can we put that off for the time being? To which the midwife said, absolutely, that's absolutely fine. Another thing that he did was when we because my son was face presentation and they suggested that we might have to go to theatre, he asked if we could have a few moments just to think about things, and at which point I asked to stand up to help the baby move. So having somebody there to kind of advocate for you when
Who knows you so well.
Yeah, when you are feeling really vulnerable, and I'm an anxious people pleaser. So, a medical professional comes to me, they've done all of this studying, all of this learning, but they don't necessarily know what's going to trigger me and what's going to send me into fight or flight. So for having Simon there to kind of mediate between us was really, really incredible.
And I don't think, as much as they're really good guys, either of them would have done that without having done the prep with us.
No.
Because they just wouldn't have known about it. It's not they wouldn't care, they'd have still been there for us, but they wouldn't have had their own toolkit of things that runs alongside ours, that they know that they can call upon when we need help. So that is why we actually are great advocates for you doing your birth preparation together. Teamwork makes the dream work. Follow us for more birthy tips and advice. You can hit the subscribe button. We always like to chat to people. We are over on Instagram at @the_birth_project, and we love hearing from people. We're total birth nerds, and we hope that you enjoyed this. Speak soon.
Bye.
Bye.